the whole, it's page 68, and I'm going to look at the whole area of control this morning. To look at the different types of control and how godly controls allows us to become who we were created to be and to fulfill our destinies, but to also show how ungodly control can severely restrict us from living in the freedom that was won for us on the cross. Do you want those for people to... Are those for people to borrow? If you haven't got a manual and you want to borrow one, there's 3 copies here that the church have. If you want to use that, but please don't write in them. They're going to keep them for other people to do and to use. Okay. Probably the core verse of the whole of this inner healing course has been that you see there, John 10:10. The thief only comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I have come that you might have life and have it to the full. When we look at control, there are 3 types of control that I see. There's godly control, there's ungodly control, and then there's the spirit of control. Now, there has been so much written about Jezebel, the spirit of Jezebel, the spirit of control and manipulation. You know, if you ever want to know about it, just do a Google search quickly and put spirit of Jezebel, and you'll get inundated with articles and links to books and everything. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going there. Why reinvent the wheel? Most of us struggle where control is concerned because of what I've called ungodly control. It is a soul-related control that's part of the defensive system that we use, partly as a response to pain and trauma that goes on. So I'm going to look at the first 2. To start with, what is godly control? Secondly, what is ungodly control? Now let me do a quick survey and we'll have some fun with this, okay? Hands up everybody that would rather be driving a car than a passenger in a car. Wow. Most of you prefer to be the passenger. Okay, fine. Well, we'll end this session now then, because you obviously don't have a control issue. I will go home at early lunchtime. Most...
have a car.
Oh, you don't have a car. Yeah, but in your dreams, Mary, you know, when you go to sleep at night and you see yourself driving a Lamborghini down ECP and you know...
Let's do it again. Supposing you have a car.
You're talking to Singaporeans, which cars are expensive, so we don't in car.
Okay.
Much.
So right. Well, in which case I'm now going to change my teaching to dealing with the poverty spirit, followed by the spirit of unbelief, that you do not believe that my God shall supply all of your needs according to his riches in glory, or give you the desires of your heart. Right, so back to the Lamborghini. Well, Mum. No, I don't drive a Lamborghini, I drive a Toyota Hilux truck. But it's actually a Lamborghini, it just doesn't know it yet. But there's this. Outside Singapore, would you rather be a driver or a passenger? There is this whole thing on godly control, and when I was writing this, I began all my focus was on to deal with the issues of ungodly control, and I think we were in France at the time on a 2 weeks retreat there, because I felt I needed to rewrite this, that the Lord really began to speak to me about the issue of us needing to know what godly control was, so that we knew how He functioned, how He operated, how we were to live, and then to look at the ways. So that's the target, but this is how so many of us can look. This isn't a condemnation exercise. It's like saying, this is what godly control is, this is what ungodly control is. And most of us function out of both. There are days and seasons and times when we'll move in godly control, and there's others where we move in ungodly control. And the idea is that we take the power and appropriate the victory of the cross and come into the freedom that He won for us in spirit and in soul. So that's where I want to go. So number one, with where godly control is concerned, is that we live in a place of submission to the Father. You got Matthew 8:9 there in your notes, and this is the story of the centurion whose servant needs healing, and he comes to Jesus, and he says to Jesus, "You don't have to come to my home to lay hands on this servant that they'd be healed. You just have to say the word. For I too am a man under authority." And in that, I mean, this was a non-Christian guy. But in that place, he recognized that Jesus was a man under authority, just like himself. Now, let me just deal with this area for a moment. We've become way too dependent on the need for someone to come to us and lay hands on us when we have a need. I know it's taken out of Paul, if any one of you be sick, if any one of you be this, call for the elders of the church and they will come and lay hands on you. But the centurion tapped into something, that it's about the word of God. It's about the decreeing with authority that sets a person free. It wasn't, Jesus didn't run around for 3.5 years and lay hands on everybody. Even with the Gadarene guy, he never laid hands on him. He just said the word. Come out. And they came out. All 1,000 of them in one go. Not a month-long ministry, not 24/7 for 6 weeks. It was just like, say the word, and they're gone. And that's the power of the cross. And in a number of these sessions last week, we've rarely reached the point where we've prayed for everybody. But the only time I think that will happen will be Friday afternoon, when we teach on shock and trauma, because that's just the way the Lord's given us to release that at the moment. But you'll see me, first of all, deal with it corporately. And there's this exercise of faith for us that takes us to another level, where we don't have faith just when someone puts their hands on us, or we have one-on-one ministry. We can exercise that same level of faith when it's done corporately. If we're going to bring in a revival harvest within Singapore, or within Indonesia or the Philippines or wherever you're from, we're not going to be able to do it laying hands on them one at a time. In Melbourne, Australia last year, I did that at the end of the shock and trauma teaching. I started at 8:10 in the evening. I had 150 people to pray for, and it took 5 hours till 1:10 in the morning, and 2 chocolate bars. That was for me, not for the people. And I'm like that, and that still only averaged three minutes a person for a solid 5 hours. Now put 2 zeros on the end of that and go from 150 to 15,000 that need prayer for, and you're not going to have 500 solid hours. They're not going to wait that long. Put it another way, that's over 20 solid days, 24/7. We've got to get to another place. Our faith